So this was nuts. It's 7:15. It took me a long time to get on here. I tried to look, I started at 7, like I promised. But forgive me. Hey guys, welcome. I am, as usual, I'm in my car. I'm trying to fluff my hair, trying to squeeze my little eyes right here because it is early 30 and my throat is kind of scratchy. So bear with me. But I am really excited about today's Periscope. I'm actually going to scroll this down a little bit. I think you can see me better. Hopefully my phone won't fall. It totally fell last week. I am really, I guess excited is a hard word because it's a tough lesson to learn and it's a tough lesson to try to teach. But I've been going through, as you know, originally, as you know that originally when I started this Live So Bible study, I was wanting to go over James. And it's because my church small group is going over James. Welcome guys, so glad that you're on. Hi, Brittany. But James chapter 4 is where my small group is right now. And this week as I was thinking, okay, God, what can we talk about on Thursday morning? I mean, there's a lot of different lessons and a lot of it starts with, I do love James. Hey, Caroline. Hey, Claire. Hey, Nicole. I really think that it's amazing when you peel back the layers of what James is trying to teach. And I'm going to talk with you guys about that this morning. So if you guys have your Bible, go ahead and check it out, open it up. I know you're using your phone, so you can't like open up your Bible app. But if you're like me right now and you're just like chilling, trying to get work done or you know, having your kids in the room or get ready for work, that's fine. We can totally walk through this together and you can listen. But I'm going to read James chapter 4, a large portion of it, so stay with me because this really, he clearly, hey Kelsey, he really articulates it excellently. And then we're going to break it down a little bit, okay? So it's not going to be extremely long. It's not going to be, I don't want to say it's not going to be in depth because I kind of feel like it would. I got babies in my arms all day. I totally get it. You do your thing. All right. So here we are. Today, James chapter 4, it's talking about, the title of it is drawing close to God. Like you want to draw close to God but he breaks it down, and the way that it's applicable to me is I think, okay, God, like I have this online business and I constantly pray for it, but I want to make sure that it's with the right motives. And is that okay? Like, can I ask you to bless my business? Can I ask you to bless my hard work? Is that allowed? Is that vain? What do you think about that? And he talks about it right here. So if you are a career woman and you yourself have a job, if you have goals, if you are a mother, if you ask for blessing for God to basically help you produce fruit from your labor, that's what we're going to talk about today. Yeah, I've asked that too because I pray for blessings over my business and I'm thinking, wait a minute, is that cool? Is that bad? Are you going to like strike me down? Right? So, okay, here we go. James chapter 4. What is causing quarrels and fights among you? Don't they come from evil desires at war within you? You want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You are jealous of others, but you cannot get it, so you fight the wage of war to take it away from them. Yet you do not have what you want because you do not ask God for it. And even when you ask, you don't get it because your motives are all wrong. You want only that will give you pleasure. Ouch. That's only the first 3 verses of James chapter 4. And we're going to go a little bit further. But before I do that, did that gut anybody else? Like when I was reading that last night and this morning, I thought, that's exactly it. So God's sitting here saying, like, you might, I don't know whether you deal with comparison. I don't know whether you deal with jealousy, but let's say you do. Or let's say you know somebody that does if you don't want to admit it yourself. But I think that we all deal with a level of envy, and that's a sin. God clearly tells us that, like, that is a sin. I'm so glad that you found me on Periscope. Yeah, I am telling you right now that we need not to be envious or jealous of somebody else, even if like they're doing what we're doing and we want to be where they are. We want to have what they have. It seems like they have it with ease. And let me tell you that I do not believe that God allows anybody just to be blessed and honored and on a pedestal with ease. Absolutely not. I truly feel, and this is from experience. Oh, this is so tough. This is from experience. You're not going to be attracted to this at all. The moment that I actually like lay down my life, the moment that I lay down I surrender my business goals, I surrender my life goals, that's when life gets harder. You don't want it to get harder. Like, why would we want life to get harder? But I think it's because God holds his children to a higher standard. I believe that God holds Christians to a higher standard because he wants us to act with such a higher level of integrity. Above reproach is also in the Bible. That basically means, like, instead of just being good, he wants us to be great. He wants no level of doubt, no level of questionable character in our productivity. So the second that I surrender my business to the Lord, I say, okay, God, have your way, like, use me, and then it gets hard. But you know what that means? It doesn't mean that he's not there for me. He absolutely is there for me, 100%, and he hears my prayers. I know that he hears my prayers because of that constant affirmation of what his Bible teaches me. But it gets hard because the enemy knows that I'm about to do some damage on his little playground. So when I'm telling God, I am yours, use me, here are my hands and feet, God, use my voice, use me to honor you. When I surrender that, it doesn't mean that God is going to make my life difficult. No, God is going to provide the open door. God is going to provide me the strength that I do not have as a human being. But it's the enemy that's going to throw darts at me. It's the enemy that's going to throw arrows and say, now I'm going to make you self-doubt. Now I'm going to make you question. Now I'm going to make you have extra obstacles. And then I have to say, oh, maybe that means I'm doing something right. Have we ever thought about that? Like, if you're having a hard time right now in your life, in your head, in your heart, maybe it's not that God doesn't hear you. Maybe it's that you are walking closer to the Lord, but there's going to be more temptation for you to fall, because the enemy knows you're going towards God. So maybe even let that be affirmation that you are absolutely in God's will. That's hard sometimes, and that's kind of hard line to decipher. But let me bring it back here. So beyond the quarrels and fights and jealousy and comparison that we battle with, if you want God to take that away, if you want God to help you live a pure and blameless life so you can bring more honor to him, this is saying right here, I didn't want to read it again because it stinks. And even when you ask, if you ask God to bless your efforts, even when you ask, you do not get because your motives are all wrong. And you only want what will give you pleasure. This, guys, is tough. Let's talk about some real life sin. Vanity, greed, selfishness, anger that is obviously not from the Lord. I mean, there are sins that we could cover up. There are sins that we see other people walk in. Like if somebody has vanity, or if somebody is walking in greed, if somebody is walking in, I don't even know what you would call it. I don't know, just being deceitful. If you feel like, oh, well, they're being elevated, or God is not humbling them, but he's humbling me. Why is that? Don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Don't worry about what God is teaching or not teaching somebody else. You are worried about you being a good servant of the Lord. You are worried about you and your heart being aligned with your purpose. It does not matter what he said, she said, he does, she does. It matters what you and God have going on. I am preaching to the choir right here. So I have amazing, amazing friends, and I see some of their fruits of their labor, and I'm thinking, oh, I wish, I want that, and I need that. I feel like I'm doing the same things, and God, why not me? And God's like, Laura, I got you on my plan. I don't have you on the world's plan. God, Laura, I have you on my plan. And I have to say, you're right. Your ways are so much higher than my ways. In Isaiah 55, it tells me that over and over. God says, my ways and thoughts are far greater than your ways and thoughts. So I would much rather be on his bandwagon than anybody else's bandwagon. But if I'm asking God to bless my efforts, but I'm only asking to feed my ego, I do not see why God would honor that. And I do not see why we should sit back and be like, God just doesn't hear my prayers because I'm struggling in my finances, or because I'm struggling in my business, or because I'm struggling in my confidence. God says, humble yourselves before me and I will lift you up. That is the next couple of verses. So making sure if you're asking God to bless you in your plans, make sure you have the right motives. Why do you want to be blessed? Why do you want to be elevated in your business? Why do you want more money? Is it because of the wrong things, or is it because of the right things? And that's something that only you and God could discover. That's only something that you can ask God to prune your heart of. Peel back the layers of your sin and say, is this wrong? Am I asking you out of greed? Am I asking you out of malice? Am I asking you out of envy? Am I asking you out of vanity? God will answer that. Trust me. So be ready. I'm going to continue on here because it just gets harder. Thank you guys for staying with me, because this is some tough stuff. So first of all, if you are asking God to bless you in your work, make sure you have the right motives, because clearly, I'm not making this up, clearly in verse 3 it says, and when you ask and you don't receive, it's because you have the wrong motives. Hello, that's like in total normal language. Then it says in verse 4, you adulterers, don't you realize that friendship with the world makes you an enemy to God? I say it again, if you are a friend with the world, you make yourself an enemy of God. I don't want to be an enemy of God. Oh, please, Lord, do not be an enemy of me. But it's not saying if you're friends with people in the world. It's saying if you're friends with the world because you want to do things like they do. God's saying, I have a plan for you. I put a purpose in your life. I put a very specific calling on your life. And if you are not in the mood, if you are not signed up to follow my pathway, you know what pathway you're following on? If you're not following God, who are you following? You're following the world. You're following yourself. You're making yourself an idol. You're making something else an idol. If it's not God, it's something else every time. Let me say that again. If you're not surrendered and following and listening and obeying God, then you're following something else, and that is a sin. And God says here, he actually calls us adulterers. He says, you adulterers who are not surrendering and following and listening to me, I want you guys to make sure you are not an enemy of God. Surrender now, because if you don't do it, he's going to do it. It tells me here. Do you think the scriptures have no meaning? They say that God is passionate, that the Spirit has placed within us that we should be faithful to him. And he gives graciously. He gives grace generously. And the scripture says, God opposes the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. So humble yourself before God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Come close to God, and God will come close to you. Wash your hands, O sinners. Purify your hearts, for your loyalty is divided between God and the world. Let there be tears for what you have done. Let there be sorrow and grief. Let there be sadness instead of laughter and gloom of joy. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will lift you up in honor. James chapter 4, 1 through 10. That is 10 verses that will make you go, like, oh my gosh, that is intense, right? So not only are we learning God will bless me, and he can bless me, but I have to make sure I'm asking the right motives. What does the right motives mean? If you surrender and you say, okay, God, I want you to teach me what the right motives are, he will help you, and he will help you figure that out. Just dive in the Word, show up with me on Thursday mornings, we'll figure life out. It goes on to say, if you're ready to surrender, if you're getting this right now and you're ready to say, God, have your way with me, I know that choosing to follow you is not going to be the easiest route. But if you truly believe that it is the only route, then you have no choice. If you truly believe, and I do, that following God is the only route that I could ever take to fulfill my purpose and to make me have that internal peace and eternal life with the Lord, then I will say, God, I'm going to follow you. And sometimes if I keep my head up and I look left and I look right and I say, but God, it looks like they have it easier than I do. That is wrong. You need not compare your life, your story, your journey, your adventure with anyone else's life, because God has a plan for you. God has a chapter that he's writing for you, and it's a story for you and only you. So for him to say, humble yourselves before me and I will lift you up in honor. I want you guys to, with me, humble yourself, surrender it, and remind yourself that like nothing you have is because of you. It's all because of the Lord. He gave you the talent and the strength and the skill set and the passion and the purpose in your heart to fulfill what you are doing right now, if you are happy in life and if you're pursuing a career that's passionate, or whatever it is. But I'm telling you, if you gloat and if your pride, if your ego is ginormous, he's going to humble you. So you might as well humble yourself now before he cuts your legs from under you, because that's what God can do. God is so powerful that he's going to say, you are my child, and if you ask me to help you, I'm going to help you, but it might not be in the way that you want. So if you've ever asked God, God bless me in this, help me with this, show me what the right way to do is, but if you're not willing to humble yourself, God is God, and he is going to answer your prayers. But because you're not humbling yourself when you ask God for help, if you're not humbling yourself, God's going to humble you for him. God's going to humble you. And that's going to, sometimes when God forces you to get on your knees, it's not going to feel great. So my suggestion, open your hands up to the Lord today and just say, oh, I feel it. I dig it. I'm yours. Use me. I'm sorry. Ask for forgiveness. Like, do whatever you need to do, because then that's when God says he will lift you up in honor, not to lift you up, but when your heart is right and pure and in line with the purpose that he has, he's going to realize that you are not going to get to the top and say, look what I have done. That he knows then that your heart is going to be pruned enough that when he does lift you up, you're going to say, look what God has done. Look what he has done. And so it's no longer going to be about you, but it's going to be about him. And if he's allowing you to have a platform to speak truth, then do that with honor. Then do that with truth and purity and surrender to God. James chapter 4, 1 through 10. I read from the New Living Translation because it's easier for me to comprehend. So I challenge you guys, read that again. On my blog, I'm going to share this. So if you are watching this as a replay, thank you so much. I share all my Live Slow Bible studies on my blog just because I like to rewatch them to say, oh yeah, that's a lesson that I should probably learn again. But I'm going to add new references to other scriptures that we did not share here. Stuff from Joshua talking about being brave and courageous. Stuff from Hebrews talking about being confident. Stuff from 2 Timothy. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. These are truths that I'm trying to get in my brain and that I constantly, passionately try to pray over the team that I work with and the team that I am trying to mentor. So thank you guys so much. And I did see a second ago somebody said they had a question. Yeah, totally. What's up? I'm so glad that you guys joined on. This has been so uplifting. I'm sick right now and I laid in bed. I didn't even go and work out this morning, but I thought, God, just do this, like figure it out. I wanted to make 1,000 excuses. So thank you guys for showing up. It's been encouraging to me to even learn these tough lessons with you guys. So if this was helpful to you, feel free to swipe to the right to share on Facebook so other people can check out the replay. It's probably going to be about 20 minutes long, 15 minutes long. It's a great way for somebody to dig into the Word. So share on Facebook if you haven't already. Thank you guys so much. Does anyone have any questions that they mentioned? I saw earlier. Man, I'm feeling the love. I'm feeling the love. And I feel like that's from the Lord. Thank you guys. Thank you guys. Okay, well, again, check out my blog, mendenhall.blogspot.com. Unfortunately, I still have the tacky blogspot in my website because I don't know how not to do that. So I got to figure it out. I'm tech not savvy. mendenhall.blogspot.com. And eventually I will shorten it. But check that out. It has all of the past Live Slow Bible studies if you wanted to look at that as well, and a lot of my life information. So you guys are the best. Happy Thursday. Go out there, humble yourself, or he will humble you, and then that would be even harder. All right. So I'm ready to be strong in the Lord because I want my motives to be pure, and I hope you guys are as well. Okay. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.